Okay, so in this video, we are going to be reviewing Mick the Vegan, or Mike the Vegan. Not really too sure. It's like M-I-C, so I don't really know how he wants that pronounced. But yeah, we're going to be reviewing him, and he apparently has top 5 carnivore myths debunked. Now, I would really like to see this, because obviously it's got me curious, right? Like, I mean, I talk about the carnivore diet all the time. It is the healthiest diet from all of the biochemistry that I've shown in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist, as well as the ones that are probably going to continue coming out, because that playlist is most likely, I'm going to most likely redo all the videos. I'm going to be trying to make them as concise as possible and a little bit longer. And yeah, it's going to be really, really detailed. So I plan on covering all of that probably by the end of October is my assumption, is when it's going to be done. I'm not too sure, but we'll find out. So yeah, let's see what Mick the Vegan, or Mike the Vegan, has to say.
Mike here, and today, the top 5 carnivore myths debunked. These are at least 5 that I hear a lot. If you have different ones, let me know down below. We're talking about things like, does meat contain all the nutrients that you need?
Yes.
Or, is oxalate dumping actually real?
Yes.
And what about the dismissal of the whole vitamin C scurvy concern?
But meat has vitamin C. We already know that it does. What is this?
We're going to cover that and a ton more. Way too much. But these are myths that lure people into the carnivore diet, and it's...
Okay, so already, I've actually covered all of this in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist. Interesting. Go ahead, buddy.
Part of the whole ethos of the diet, which I think is misinformation. We're gonna look at research that I believe backs that. But again, a lot of the carnivore diet argument is that, like, oh, there isn't science against it. Well, because there is no freaking science on it, essentially. So I'll use...
Wow. Okay, that's insane. The fact that he says that, I don't want to do any personal attacks. I would genuinely usually say right there, like, this guy's just delusional. But there's a pretty good chance he just doesn't know. And even if he does know, he just wants to ignore it. So there would be actually good reasons why he would want to ignore it. I think he's a pretty big channel. So if he immediately changes his viewer base, that wouldn't be too good, would it? Yeah. Usually most people just don't even want to learn, though. So that's pretty common.
Use the science that I can, but I'll also speak in their language, which is anecdotes, by even looking at...
Really? Speak in their language? Bro, I talk about biochemistry all the time. This guy... Okay. I see a lot of cherry picking going on right now. I see a lot of cherry picking. This guy sounds like hardcore. I hear so much cherry picking. It sounds like he's Ansel Keys right now. This is not good. All right, buddy, let's hear it.
Meat has all the nutrients that you need.
Yeah, it does. If you're actually eating all parts of the animal, most certainly. That, I guarantee you that it will. Now, if you're eating only just meat and only meat, which, I mean, you can do for quite a while, I wouldn't fully recommend it, because you can't necessarily... I would say eggs. I would say you need to add eggs. Eggs are very, very important. Eggs are very, very, very important. If you can add eggs to your carnivore diet, add eggs, because they have pretty much everything that you need. Like, literally everything. So
yes, looking to Chronometer for that classic 2 pounds of steak a day that a lot of people follow on the
Okay, so Chronometer. I don't know what this is. This doesn't look scientific. This looks like a checker that you use on an app.
Carnivore diet. Yeah, the nutrition gaps be gapping.
Okay. So wow, this is really cherry picking. Well, I guess I was right. So this guy is really cherry picking, because first off, one, if you were to actually measure the vitamin and mineral content of meat, not all cuts of the meat have the same vitamin and mineral content. So the fact that he's showing this is pretty suspicious, because it really makes me think that, one, he's not including eggs. I take that back. I guarantee you he's not including eggs. Two, I already see one thing, which is definitely not true. Vitamin C is shown as 0. Vitamin C is not 0 in meat. Vitamin C exists even in skeletal muscle, and he just said meat, so I'm going to assume he's talking about skeletal muscle. Okay, I'm going to be honest. no personal attacks, but I'm just gonna have to say he's delusional on this one. This is ridiculous. This is genuinely insane. So you will get a lot of the nutrition that you need from meat. If you add eggs in there, you're guaranteed to get it, because eggs have literally everything. So this is definitely delusional. This is very, very delusional. He's cherry picking, and he must. I don't know how this app works that he's using, but it's definitely not scientific. He's not pulling up studies. So maybe he's not pulling up a study here for a reason, because if you actually look at it, you'd realize, oh, wait a second, this isn't true. So yeah, it's already complete delusional. Yeah. Oh my God. He even shows lipids, omega-3. Oh no, dude, you didn't just do that, did you? All right. Well, that's polyunsaturated fat content, and I'm not going to actually explain that right now, because genuinely I can make this video go very long just explaining that. I have an entire, once again, all of it's in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist. That's BS right there. We already know this because of lipid peroxidation, as well as plants. Literally, the reason why they're making tons of these antioxidants has to do with the fact that they have so many of these omega-3s and omega-6s, which are very, very prone to lipid peroxidation, and they generate tons of reactive oxygen species. I'm not going to explain that, but it's just already, this guy's very, very cherry picky and very delusional.
Case that Michaela Peterson, carnivore dieter, appears to have gotten a folate deficiency as she's...
All right, I'm going to say right now, especially when it's this actually probably could happen, very, very likely. I think the reason why a lot of people have problems on the carnivore diet is the fact that they're not actually eating the entire animal. Like, you're not supposed... Okay, let's say you hunted an animal recently. Are you just going to eat the meat and only the meat and then let the rest of it rot? No, this is not what you're doing. This is not what you do. Like, this is... once again, this is crazy. But lo and behold, turns out other parts of the meat actually have different amounts of vitamins and minerals. Who would have thought? It's almost like it's because they require different functions, and those specific parts of the body require different functions. So I don't think Michaela Peterson's a scientist, so I'm going to assume that she doesn't know this stuff. She doesn't necessarily know too much about like the vitamin and mineral interactions and all that stuff. I'm not gonna like hate on her. I actually really like her. I think she's a very good example of something that I've experienced. Not necessarily, I did not experience it to her degree. My autoimmune problems were not as bad. Hers were way worse, but she's a very, very good example of like, here's how you fix your autoimmune problems. So yeah.
Have a healthy level of folate. Anyway, onto the vitamins. We have vitamin A.
Okay, I'm just going to cover all of these. I'm not even going to listen to them. Vitamin A, insanely low in plants. We already know it's in beta-carotene, and beta-carotene is not bioavailable whatsoever. Vitamin C, this is not true. I've already shown the study on this before. We already know skeletal muscle. Even skeletal muscle has vitamin C in it. So the fact that they put 00 here means whatever site this is doesn't have accurate information, because we know it's actually like, it's not this. It's definitely not this. Vitamin D, there's definitely vitamin D in there. Vitamin E, you don't need high amounts of vitamin E. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. So once again, why do you want high amounts of vitamin E if you're not producing many reactive oxygen species? Who would have thought? Vitamin K, okay, so I already know that they're measuring K1 here. They're not measuring K2. K2 is so much more bioavailable than K1 that it's like the vitamin A one, once again. You can't get almost any vitamin K from plants, and that's because it's in the form of K1, and in K2 in animals it is so much more available, and that makes it more bioavailable, meaning that it can actually be absorbed. So once again, this is like this site, it's a neat little cool thing, but it's not giving you accurate information. So I already cover all this in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist. We're going to skip ahead because clearly this guy, he's cherry picking. He does a lot of cherry picking.
The minerals with...
Okay, so we're going to cover the minerals. Calcium. We already know calcium oxalate. Oh, wow, who would have thought? Turns out oxalate actually binds to calcium. So you're getting less calcium from plants. All of these vitamins and minerals, once again, this is like insane. It's so, really, just check out my vitamins and mineral interactions video. I'm not even going to talk about this because I can go on for too long.
Is real, / just the whole oxalate theory of disease or just health issues in pretty normal people. It is the case that people with like severe kidney issues are going to have more oxalate problems, but it's at a point where oxalate dumping has become a catch-all term for any problem that somebody is facing on a carnivore diet that should probably lead them to quitting. But no, that's just purification. You're just dumping these plant-based toxic oxalates.
I've actually had an example of this. My example is acne, quite literally. It might be oxalate, I don't know what it is, but I can tell you my acne persisted even for 2 years, even being carnivore. So whatever was in my skin, it literally was stuck there, and I constantly got reactions on my face over and over and over again. Before I wasn't eating carnivore, my face was covered in acne, tons of acne. I eat carnivore, my face still is filled with acne. It takes 2 years, 2 entire years to get rid of it. So yeah, I don't think it's just oxalates for that matter. I don't know what else is in some of these plants, but what I do know is they get stuck in either in your skin, maybe it's a plant sterol that I'm not aware of that mimics cholesterol. I have no idea what this stuff is, but what I do know is it really messes you up, because it messed me up. It messed me up big time.
Electrolyte supplements are normal and all of this is natural.
Oh boy. Okay. Once again, there's like so many things to it. You're not eating the different cuts of meat. You're not eating, like, you can't just eat filet mignon every single day. That's not gonna, you don't get, when you kill an animal, you're not gonna get 50 pounds of filet mignon. Okay, that's not how it's not going to be like a ton of filet mignon. No. Like, first, you're eating the entire animal. So if you're eating the entire animal, that means you're eating the entire animal, not just the skeletal muscle. You're eating the brain too. You're not just eating like 50 testicles, because not one bull only has 50 testicles. Like, once again, this is I don't know. It's cherry picking. It's really just cherry picking. That's the only thing I can say.
There's this whole narrative here that we are apex predators that are designed to be eating all of this meat all of the time. But then I have to ask, do lions need to take all the electrolyte supplements that these carnivores are constantly taking? I don't think so.
Lions are actually eating. Not just tons of filet mignon, by the way. They don't just kill the animal and then only eat the filet mignon part. No. Okay? Like, once again, this is insane. It's crazy. Honestly, I wish... This is the problem. You can tell somebody, hey, go on this diet, and then they'll still have problems. Because they're one way or another, unless you're taught from day one at age, like, after you hunt, you take this part of the animal, you eat this because of this and this and this, and you crack the skull open. Like, no, you don't hear that in today's day and age, because nobody's living in nature. Everybody is in civilization. So how on earth are people supposed to realize that you're actually killing things? You were supposed to be killing things. We don't have that problem anymore because we are in civilization. We are not hunting chickens. We are not hunting for our food. We are not hunting any of these animals at all. So it's crazy to me. It's really crazy.
Here's on YouTube. Here she is.
On any version of a low carbohydrate diet, whether that be a carnivore diet or a keto diet, we need more electrolytes. This is because when insulin levels are low, as they are when you restrict carbohydrates, the kidneys excrete more sodium.
Okay. Yes, but once again, you can get all of these things that you need if you're actually eating the entire animal. So that doesn't mean supplement it with element. Like, prehistoric humans were not supplementing with element. Okay? They didn't go like, hey, element here. I'll trade you my recently killed cow for this element packet. No, that's not how it works. Once again, this is like, it's driving me crazy. Oh my god. We have to realize that we are privileged to be in civilization, but at the same time, civilization itself comes with costs. It comes with the cost of not realizing that you actually, like, hunting was a thing. You don't just eat one part of the animal and that's it. Like it's life, I guess.
Sodium, and this disrupts other electrolyte levels as well.
Yeah, the body is so clearly designed to be consuming carbs that when you don't, your insulin level goes so low that you need to like add random minerals in high amounts just.
Okay. Oh boy, Mr. Ed. What was his name? No, it wasn't Ed. It was Mike. Sorry, Mike. Actually, I don't even know if I care. First off, no, carbohydrates are not necessary. We already know your body doesn't want them because not only are babies born in heavy ketosis, literally, they have glucose levels that are so low. If you took their blood glucose, you would think this person is either in a coma or they're dead. No. Once again, no. Babies aren't just born dead or in comas. That's not how this works. And listening to this guy, I oh my God. No. Please just watch my Science Behind Carnivore playlist. Honestly, I'm just going to watch some of these things and I'm going to make a very brief comment and then say, watch my Science Behind Carnivore playlist because it's all in there and listening to this guy is really driving me mad. Like, I can't explain all of this in this video. It's way too long. Carbohydrates are not a necessity. They're definitely not a necessity. We already know this because you can fast for tons and tons of days on end and you won't be into diabetic ketoacidosis. Not only that, we already know that if you eat tons and tons of carbs, you end up getting T2 diabetes. And why do you get that? The reason you get that is because, lo and behold, insulin is chronically elevated. And how do you reduce that? It's by making glucagon dominant. And not only that, even if you do increase insulin levels really high, what do you end up getting? High amounts of glycation. What do you end up getting as well? You also end up getting basically Alzheimer's earlier. You also go through glucose oxidation, which is more prone, once again, because more NADH is made, which ends up going to complex 1. And we already know complex 1 is more prone to more prone to electron leakage. And what does that happen? What happens after that? You get a hydrogen peroxide turning into a hydroxyl free radical that wreaks havoc by causing lipid peroxidation or oxidative stress. Oh my God. Hopefully that was enough to explain this because it's driving me crazy. But once again, all in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist, way more descriptive because I'm not like this guy's really driving me crazy. All right, we're going to see myth 4. I'm already losing my mind at this video because he definitely doesn't know biochemistry.
Myth number 4, which is that high LDL cholesterol, bad cholesterol is just absolutely fine and healthy.
Yeah, it is because LDL isn't even a cholesterol. It's a carrier for cholesterol. Low density lipoprotein. It carries cholesterol. Dude, it's not a cholesterol. Holy crap. Not only that, let's look at his study. Any one of his studies, let's look at them. Who are they funded by? And then afterwards, look at the Minnesota Coronary Heart Survey. Look who that's funded by. It's funded by the exact same people who funded whatever study he wants. And why is that? Why? Because we already know the Minnesota Coronary Heart Survey was funded by the National Heart Institute. And the National Heart Institute also funded the Framingham Heart Study, the one that was supposed to say, hey, LDL cholesterol is bad for you. What do they end up finding? No results. Not one. Even though it's the most cited paper. Yeah, Framingham Heart Study, most cited paper. What about the Minnesota Coronary Heart Survey? Well, it turns out the Minnesota Coronary Heart Survey actually only came out 45 years later. And why is that? Because they wanted to hide the data. Because it turns out the Minnesota Coronary Heart Survey, the thing that was supposed to be the original crowning jewel as to proving that LDL cholesterol is evil, actually turned out to be the exact opposite. And LDL cholesterol being lowered by 30 milligrams per deciliter increased all-cause mortality by 22%. Done. Dude. This guy's driving me crazy. Watch my video on the rich don't want you to eat meat if you really want to see the money behind this and follow the money because this is ridiculous. It's not in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist because it's not a science video. But
and then if you put them on LDL lowering medication, you can actually reverse the volume of those plaques.
It has to do with triglycerides. All right, buddy? You ever heard of Dave Feldman's work? It has to do with triglycerides. Triglycerides. It's not LDL. It's triglycerides. If you have high triglycerides and you have low VLDL, you're going to have plaque buildup. especially if you damage your endothelium, then you're definitely going to have plaque buildup. You can't have it otherwise. Oh my God. Dude, you're driving me crazy. Please.
But it's not just my word here. We have multiple highly credentialed experts in this field.
Okay. First off, I'm going to be dead honest. I am an undergraduate student, and I think most doctors don't know what they're talking about. I don't think most people know what they're talking about. Even experts in the field usually don't even know what they're talking about. In anything. Really. And I'm just going to say that flat out, because turns out the world is really complicated. Really, really complicated. So complicated that you actually probably have to learn every single subject. And you have to know it really, really well. And then you'll start mixing it together, and then you'll go, oh, wait, this doesn't make sense. And then you'll have to find some other way around it. And you'll start mixing that together, and you go, oh, that doesn't make sense. You'll learn about politics, and then you'll learn about something else. The game of politics, game theory, and all these other things. Life is so complicated that if you really think a credentialed expert, what makes a credentialed expert so good? The fact that they went to school? Really? Really? I went to school and I already know more than most doctors. That's not something that should happen. I know more about how to actually solve the problem and cure the problem rather than solve the symptoms. That's not something that should be happening. An undergraduate student who hasn't even graduated yet should not be able to do this. So once again, oh my God. I'm losing my mind.
Saying the same thing about inflammation not being required. For example, Nutrition Made Simple interviewed a couple of them, like Professor Kaushik Ray, president of the European Atherosclerosis Society, who's published over 200 studies. Here he is.
If you have inflammation, you accelerate this process. So it's an accelerant in that case.
Wow. If you have inflammation, you accelerate it. I wonder why. Once again, I already explained this in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist.
That situation. But similarly, that if that wasn't true, so if you didn't have inflammation accelerating that process, you had zero inflammation, you'd still get atherosclerosis. But what would happen is the particles get into the wall, and you.
Why? Why do they get into the wall? They don't just end up in the wall. It's not how the endothelium is designed. That's not how the endothelium is designed. How does that end up happening? Why are there particles? What particles are there? Why? The reason that's happening is because the endothelium is damaged. Once the endothelium is damaged, then these particles of VLDL maybe that are carrying triglyceride, by the way, are getting stuck because the endothelium has been damaged. How do you damage the endothelium? You skyrocket insulin. That's how you damage it. So eat a burger. Go ahead, eat a burger. You got wheat, you got meat, you got everything that you need to skyrocket your insulin to glucagon ratio. Once again, like, holy crap. This guy's a professor. He has gray hair. You know, apparently Einstein actually discovered his thing at 24 years old. And he was like, man, all these people have no idea what they're talking about. And I feel like I'm in that instance. I'm not even Einstein because I didn't even discover anything new on my own. I did nothing, literally. All I did was just learn information, learn tons of different information. But this is very sad. This is very, very sad.
Your body produces an inflammatory response.
And we also have a lipidologist out of a Lipoproteins Institute. That's Dr. William Cromwell, again, interviewed by Nutrition Made Simple. Here's what he says.
I am not a person who says that inflammation does not matter at all. I'm a person who says inflammation is not where it starts very frequently. Inflammation is added as the process gathers momentum and plaques become more mature over time.
Okay. Once again, triglycerides. It is triglycerides, 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 triglycerides. I don't know how many times I have to repeat that. Like, it's almost like, once again, they're just ignoring information. It has nothing to do with the LDL, specifically the VLDL. What's the VLDL doing there? You don't just get VLDL randomly created for no reason. Your body's making this stuff for a reason. Why is it making it? It's making it to carry the triglycerides. So if you're having tons of these triglycerides going about because you skyrocketed your insulin to glucagon ratio, or because you did God knows what you did, lo and behold, of course you're going to have higher amounts of VLDL. But it's not even the VLDL that's the problem here. It's damaging the endothelium by basically causing glycation to the endothelium or lipid peroxidation to the endothelium. And how do you do that? You get reactive oxygen species being generated, or you have glycation or fructose, or like, holy crap, dude. And he doesn't, oh my God. I swear, it's like this is the problem with experts. They are so focused in their field. They only know they only know exactly their material. But if you introduce them to new material outside of their field, they would have no idea what to do with it. This is why you need to learn about the world. This is, in fact, why I made my channel, for that matter. I made it because you have to understand the entire workings of the world. It's not just that simple. It just isn't. Sadly, I wish it was. You know, I wish life was just that simple. Turns out life is way more complicated, especially when you get into civilization and you start learning all these other things like, oh my God, well, it turns out you actually need a lot of other things that I didn't know to make a computer, or maybe to make the microphone that I'm talking into right now. Or, oh my God, turns out that knowing quantum mechanics is very helpful when it comes to understanding how this process works. Like, if you become an expert, if you're not a jack of all trades, you will suffer his curse. He is under a curse right now, and you will suffer it. Yeah, I made a video on that as well. So once again, become a jack of all trades. Do not become a specialist, because specialists, they can't actually apply what they know. That's the problem.
Oh. All right. So as a result, people say you have to have inflammation in order for ApoB to cause a plaque. You do not. But once we have a plaque, more ApoB feeds the plaque, it grows. And the more inflammation, the more the plaque not only grows, but becomes unstable and leads you to more event behavior.
Once again, how do you get that inflammation? Phytotoxins or necrosis of the cell. That's another one. That could be another one too. Like it's insane. It's insane.
So you heard it from him, and then more specifically, it's the case that LDL can enter the arterial wall through transcytosis. That doesn't require like a high level of chronic inflammation or anything like that. And of course,
the endothelium has a specific charge to it for a reason. It doesn't want things to stick to it. That's not how it works. You have to damage it for it to stick. And not only that, you have to have tons of this LDL, tons of these triglycerides going about. It's insane. It's insane. VLDL, sorry. It's because VLDL is the one that carries triglycerides. Once again, another delusional thing.
Of heart issues or cardiovascular issues on a carnivore diet, which are pretty much...
He's not carnivore. If you look at what it says, I fasted, I ate low carb. Low carb isn't no carb. There's a big difference there. And the reason is because you can easily skyrocket your insulin to glucagon ratio by mixing fat, protein, and carbohydrate. Because if you do, you'll lock both the fatty acid out of the mitochondria and the glucose out of the cell, and that will cause tons of insulin to be released. And then now you have to have VLDL carrying these triglycerides. Oh no. Wow. Who would have thought? Low carb might actually not work. What a shame. Looks like you didn't really figure. Like, once again, it's society, man. You have to learn all this stuff. You have to be a generalist. Be a generalist or suffer the curse. Especially in my opinion, if you're not a generalist, especially in the age of AI, which is like what it's coming to be, you're really going to be screwed. That's what I think.
That a carnivore diet doesn't give people scurvy, and also that your vitamin C requirement is lower. Carnivores are built differently. Yeah, you saw that vitamin C intake on the Chronometer app. It is the case that there's an abysmally low amount that they don't even count in meat, and that can vary a little bit, but it's still extremely...
No, depends what kind of meat, once again. And we already know vitamin C competes with the same transporter than glucose for GLUT4. So once again, if you eat tons of meat and you eat tons of carbs with it, you're not going to get much vitamin C. even if you start pounding down oranges and you start saying like, I am going to take tons of these supplements, doesn't matter because they compete for the exact same transporter, so it's not going to happen. Once again, I'm going to end it there because this guy's driving me crazy. So hopefully you learned something, and yeah, once again, all of this is in my Science Behind Carnivore playlist, and he's obviously cherry picking information. As we can see, it's like very, very obvious. At least he said that there's an abysmal amount of vitamin C. There is vitamin C in meat, and there's especially even more vitamin C in organs. I have that. I literally have a reference there. Shows you that how much vitamin C is in skeletal muscle, how much vitamin C is in all these other things. So yeah, hope you learned something. Hope you sort of got to see how I see the world as well a little bit, not just a little bit of the science behind carnivore, but also the importance of being a generalist and not a specialist, because if you're a specialist, you can't actually apply all of this other knowledge to the rest of the world, and you end up being in a curse. In my opinion, you end up being in a cursed situation where you can't see straight, because you're only stuck on that one thing, and that's the only thing that you can see, because that's the only thing you know how to see. Once again, thanks for watching. If you found the video helpful and informative, then please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions. Yeah, and if you want to see more videos like this, or if you have anybody in particular you want me reviewing, please let me know. And if you want to support me personally, and you also want to see my videos ahead of time, click the join button down below where you can support me personally or see my videos ahead of time. So once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.